In today's video, we're going to put dog culture up against science and the Bible. That's right, we got a tag team, science and the Bible. We're going after dog culture, and I will be your referee for this little matchup. So we're looking at something called discernment, something dogs do not have. The Bible teaches Christians that discernment is very important. A big part of it is that to be able to distinguish between right and wrong, truth and falsehood. So you got to make wise decisions guided by God's wisdom. So the big part of this is being able to distinguish between right and wrong. And dog owners and their dogs, they don't do that. Dogs more so because they don't have a proper prefrontal lobe, and owners more and more because hanging around a creature that does not have a proper prefrontal lobe, um, slowly but surely, they will use their prefrontal lobe less. So let's go over to the Bible a little bit more. As you can see, we're just looking up some stuff about discernment with a little keyword search. But yeah, discernment's very important for being a Christian and following the Bible. A big part of it, as you can see right here, distinguish good from evil. So now let's just look at some examples of dogs and their total lack of discernment. They don't have discernment. They're freaking idiots. Okay, it's common for these things to eat their own feces. It's a common behavior known for dogs. You can feed these dogs the top science diet, farmer's dog, Blue Ridge, whatever. Actually, Blue Ridge is recalled. The FDA is using your tax money to take care of that right now. But whatever, these stupid dogs will eat their own freaking turds or other dogs' turds. So that's just a complete lack of discernment. And since we're talking about consuming feces, the Bible doesn't have a lot of good stuff to say about that either. For example, Deuteronomy says that you should be covering this up, not freaking eating it, guys. And there's another one that I got to show you. Vomit. A dog that returns to its vomit. These freaking dogs return to their own feces. It's freaking nasty. But let's get back on track here. Let's get back on track. So most dog attacks occur in familiar settings, with 61% happening at the home. It's the family dogs that are doing this stuff. And they're doing it to children that are vulnerable. So these dogs cannot discern between family. They cannot discern between prey. They have a prey drive. And we're going to talk more about that later with that prefrontal lobe. But they're in their own house where they get free food, and they can't distinguish a little toddler or grandma or Uncle Bobby between a family member or prey. And so that's a complete lack of discernment. That's a complete lack of understanding what's right or wrong. Can you imagine living in somebody's house, not paying one bill, and then one day you just start stabbing them or biting them? Yeah, that would be considered evil. But yet we let dogs get away with it all the time. And here's just another look up on that, but family dogs, as you can see right here, blue highlight, family dogs are largely responsible for the attacks on fatal attacks on children. So these stupid dogs, they don't have discernment. It's like, is that a bowl of food or is that a toddler? Is that a rabbit for me to chase or is that a toddler? They have no clue because they got triggered by a noise or a smell. So again, these stupid beasts have no discernment. So these dogs were used by the Nazi SS guards to attack Jewish people. They were trained to bite without mercy. So there is no discernment between good and evil with a dog. It simply just can't happen. They have a prefrontal lobe, but the only purpose of the prefrontal lobe in a dog is for hunting and killing and strategizing how they're going to kill and take things down. Which is very interesting because that's pretty much what they do, including police dogs and these Nazi dogs. So now let's go a little closer to our timeline. Secret Service agents during Joe Biden's reign as president, look what happened to them. These stupid dogs cannot distinguish between good and evil. I mean, if you're the president and your Secret Service agents are tied up dealing with dog attacks, how can they take care of your family and your friends and your guests at the White House when they're worrying about stupid dogs biting them? You know, the dogs have no discernment about where they are or anything. They're just triggered by something and then they got to sink their teeth into it. So let's look at the science part of this. So the brain region that we've been talking about, this is the prefrontal cortex. It's responsible for decision making and evaluating consequences. Dogs do not evaluate consequences. This area helps in planning, which is essential for making decisions and choices. While the only use of a prefrontal lobe for a dog is to get food and steal resources. Like, have you ever left a sandwich on the coffee table and then got up and then all of a sudden the dog gets it? That's the only functional part of a prefrontal lobe in a dog, a predator dog with prey drive. That's the only thing that they're using that for. They're not using it to evaluate consequences right here. You know, they're not using it to worry about what's right or wrong. So, who actually has the proper prefrontal cortex? That would be humans. So, we can kind of slide back to the Christian part of this, and you could make a legitimate argument that your prefrontal lobe is a gift from God, because that's the only thing that allows you to discern right or wrong. And if you're around your fellow humans, they help you discern what is right or wrong because they have a healthy prefrontal lobe. But if you're around monkeys and chimps and dogs, your brain regions can be atrophied. Hashtag the Kellogg experiment. Don't forget to check that out, guys, because we've already proven what I've just mentioned right there. So, the prefrontal cortex in predators, here's what I was talking about the prey drive. It allows for a limited, see this right here? Limited executive function, planning and decision making. It helps them strategize, which is crucial for hunting and survival. So that's that prey drive I was telling you guys about. That's like the brood parasite of dogs. If someone else is getting attention, like your kid or your family, the dogs will whine and bark to get your attention because they're just using that little pea brain part of their prefrontal lobe for survival. They're just guarding a resource. They think you're a resource, and if your kid is there making too much noise or whatever, the dog will do stuff for hunting and survival. That's it. Not for decision making and not for understanding consequences of its actions. Another example is the dog breeders that are killed by their own dogs. And this plays into what I was telling you guys about with the prey drive and stuff. So this dog breeder was attempting to break up a fight between his pit bulls. So the pit bulls were fighting, and when dogs fight, it's for resource, it's for mating, it's for other stuff. And you step between them, and then they kill you. Because their prey drive is triggered, and that's all that prefrontal lobe is used for. It's not used for understanding the consequences, like, I'm going to kill the person that's feeding me. That's a bad idea. Nope. They don't care about that. So, again, there is no understanding of consequences, and there is no discernment at all with dogs. And so, read up on this. Certain areas of the brain can undergo atrophy if they are not used or stimulated. So your prefrontal lobe, when you're around a dog, it's not stimulated because the dog doesn't have it. It's scientifically proven if you're hanging around creatures that don't have the brain regions that you have, you're going to start acting like them. You're not going to see the nastiness of your consequences. One of the most obvious examples from society is parents doing this to their kids, hooking their kids to a dog, and these kids get just pummeled into all types of crazy situations: concrete, hardwood, carpet, lawnmowers, bicycles, tile. And these kids have like obvious long-term injuries from this type of stuff. But the parents laugh at it because they have no freaking discernment, you guys. Go ahead and click on any one of these and watch this freaking absolute bullshit that these parents let dogs do to their kids. They have no discernment. The kids literally cry. Some of them have blood on their face from these dogs knocking them down. And the parents cannot discern between what is right or wrong and what is good or evil. They will allow this stuff to happen. You know, if CPS showed up and your drunk uncle put a bunch of bruises on somebody, he'd be in jail. But yet these people let this stuff happen to their kids and they laugh about it because, oh, it's a dog. They're allowing this dopamine rush to their head to overpower their discernment of right or wrong. And it's like lust. It's like eating sugar when you know it's bad for you, which is something else that the Bible talks about. So there you go. The Bible teaches discernment, and dogs have no discernment. More and more dog owners have a lack of discernment. And it goes right against everything that the Bible talks about.